Nick and John, very happy to have you today and for this very short conversation about private networks. I'd like to get right into it. It's a very short conversation. And maybe we could start by just talking about maybe those use cases that have like the best return on investment for private networks. And maybe start with you, John, and maybe have a few words about what you're doing as well for within your portfolio.
Sure. We actually tapped into some federal government funding up in Canada to like essentially de-risk and fund a lot of this stuff. Candidly, it's very new for us, and we really don't know what the killer use cases are. Like there's your kind of standard, solutions that are out there that we could deploy without it. I think what we're hoping to do is find out what the potential is actually to be down the road. So, there's a promise of, AI, there's a promise of, AR, VR and things like that. But really we need that foundational solid network to deliver those higher use cases. So that's kind of where we're at. Unfortunately, I can't give you that magic answer on, these are the top use cases to go forward with right now.
Right. So I think, John, we're the same. John had stated that they're at the very, very early stages, and we're probably not up to that yet, right? The use cases will be organic. I think the technology will help drive where we can use this technology. We have some thoughts on how we can, deploy it. We have ideas on what we'd like to do. I still think for our portfolio and our use cases will evolve when more of the equipment, more of the base network is mainstream. And for us, it's just not there yet. But we are keeping a close eye on what types of solutions that we can employ, and certainly with folks like you two fellas here, it's a community. It's still up and coming, and we're here to network obviously and help. So sometimes someone will put their toe in the water first to see, perhaps it's going to be you, to see how it works, and then we'll speak about it. And we might do something different and really converse and understand what works.
You never want to be the only one at the party.
That's right.
Well, and I would just add to that I think it's been in development for the last 5 or 6 years in terms of the promise of what it is. In the U.S., we have about 120 of these private networks. And I always tell that people that in like Manhattan, you've got 60,000 commercial buildings. There's 300 of them or so that have a DAS, and so there's a lot of opportunity to deploy these kinds of networks. For me, one of the questions I would have for you is, what are those things, what are the attributes? I understand maybe more mainstream adoption, those kinds of things, but what are those kinds of things? What would you expect to see and for you to feel comfortable in terms of deploying those systems, more fully across your portfolio?
Right. So, Nick will know this as well. Like in real estate, it's like, what's the economics of this?
Exactly right.
Like,
Exactly
what's the model? It is very fragmented. I think there's an opportunity of combining, there are tenant requirements, there are, carrier requirements, and then there's landlord requirements, right? They're done independently right now. If we brought those things together, do the numbers work better?
Right.
I think the thesis is yes, but that certainly has to happen. The technology, I think, needs to mature a bit. I think the costs of those things also need to come down, right? Again, you said 300 buildings, that's, point whatever 1%, right? So that's telling, right? In terms of, where the market and the industry needs to go.
Yeah, I think for us it's economics and adoption. It's that simple, right? Again, the use cases could be building systems, it could be tenants, it could be the amenities in those systems. And whenever we're looking at employing new technology, because in-building cellular now is a little long in the tooth, but it's still very valuable, it's still very viable. We will look at both of those in connection. They both have to make sense for us, both economically and, again, having the adoption that people, or equipment can use it.
I would ask too, in terms of how you deploy technology within your buildings, within your portfolios, I think one question would be just like how do you think about deploying these resources? Do you do this directly? Do you do it indirectly with partners? Both of you have very significant portfolios. Maybe talk a little bit about how you think about designing, implementing these kinds of systems given where they're at today. It's maybe as a last question.
Just, if I can jump.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
I think, especially with new technology, what we do is we'll have a use case, we'll have a smaller property in the portfolio, less traveled, so to speak. We'll work with partners such as yourself, right, who are experts in this industry, and we'll both figure out what's the best path moving forward, right, on a small scale. And for us, that makes the most sense. We do have very high-profile, densely populated properties, thankfully, and ensuring that new technology is put out there in the proper way and will be beneficial and not detrimental is really important.
Yeah, and we're very much the same, like that very similar approach. The only other thing I would add is, we also kind of opportunistically look at where there are points where we can inject technology. So, like existing kind of capital plans and projects where, we've got the broader strategy. Can we kind of sneak in some of this strategy into those projects where there's already funding or new developments and things like that, where there's a little bit of a longer lead cycle where, yes, still kind of pilot and test, but ensure that gets incorporated into those kind of plans.
Yep.
I mean, I think it's really important that when you're doing things on a smaller scale, that you're able to identify what are the goals of those deployments,
right,
so you can measure the outcomes and you have the right kind of learnings that then allow you to do this on a larger scale.
Right.
If you don't get the kind of learning that you expect from those projects, it becomes very difficult to
It's got to be it has to be a real world activity, right? Even on a small scale. But again, the way we've done this is exactly that. We have an actual property and with actual people and actual traffic, and we'll validate whether it works or not, and we'll continue then at that point to roll it out a little bit further, one by one. But that's what we've done in the past.
Awesome.
So yeah, long term, I think it's very strategic for us. Just it's not a straight line. That's all.
Right.
Very few things are a straight line.
That's right.
We appreciate your time very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, John. Thanks.